Fnatic is one of the teams we scrimmed mostly, I think.
Fnatic are onto the Nexus!
I just think that people disrespected Giants.
Whoa! Frederick with the timing! Oh, that was brilliant! Rocket, get the Nexus tower. Rocket, turn to the Nexus.
Rocket changed the two play. I think they're only gonna get stronger.
Flying ignites, burning poisons, ticking. Fox gets another kill for SK
I
Gaming.
definitely think Fox is one of the best mid laners right now, so that makes them really scary.
Copenhagen Wolves have done it!
I think they're still one of the weakest teams, but we should win it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the European League of Legends Championship Series, coming to you live from our studio in Berlin, Germany. I'm Evie Shogsaportre here with Trevor Quickshot Henry and our guest for the week, Lauri Cyanide happening. Really good to see you again, Lauri.
Yeah, it's good to be here, as always.
It's a pleasure to join Cyanide in the desk. This is my first time on the European Analyst desk. I'm excited.
It's pretty swanky, huh?
That's for sure.
Before we get to the big stories from yesterday's games, let's take a look at where the teams currently stand. Fnatic and SK Gaming still at the top, going strong, 3-0. Then Elements Giants and the Unicorns of Love are fighting for third place at 2-1. So let's talk about the top of the table. Fnatic 3-0, still undefeated there and still as a cohesive unit performing fantastically. Although yesterday was the first time they had a game where they went even and had to fight from there, not being miles ahead.
Yeah, Fnatic just really good performances so far, especially Reignover, probably the most impressive jungler so far in the EU LCS. Really good, stellar Reignover play.
Yeah, something that you find from Fnatic is they sort of hinge on Reignover's engages. He tends to be the guy that's going in and starting things and playing around those pick comps that you talked so much about yesterday, Cyanide. And I just think as a team, Fnatic are playing on the same page.
A team that is also very much playing on the same pace is SK Gaming, still holding strong there, 3-0, another victory coming in for them. As a team, fantastic, and we heard that Vizichachi said they're playing them today, the Unicorns of Love. Well, what the Fox is in there, he's doing so well, we didn't even have to see him go miles because SK Gaming is just delivering on every other point.
Yeah, like the strong point of SK is that they have absolutely no weak points and they play really good together. Just the most flawless team in Europe right now, I'd say.
Yeah, especially in comparison to Summer Split last year, where SK had such a weak early game, they really struggled to do anything. The biggest change in my mind for Given, he's come in, he's got 0 deaths to his name, 31 KDA if you add up his kills and his assists. And I just think it's SK have fixed all the problems they had from last year. And they've had 3 very convincing wins.
Yeah, looking super scary. Giants yesterday had their first big test. They were 2-0 before that, now 2-1. Lost to the Unicorns of Love. And what was the test for them? Would they be able to put that same pressure on top and snowball it from there? The answer was no.
Yeah, like they still had the same game plan without the Jax. Tried to camp the top lane for no reason. You have a Maokai, he's going to be strong anyway. Just focus on the bot lane and mid lane, try to get the Drakes. Maokai is just going to do his job. It doesn't matter if he has a few kills or not.
Yeah, it feels like Giants, when they put under pressure, they don't really know what to do. When they're given freedom, they can play well. Werlib did not have a good game on that Maokai. I think Sana hit the exact points. Giants just haven't got enough of a diversified game plan. And this is something they have to learn, something they have to adjust to if they want to pick up wins in the LCS.
And finally, another champion we saw yesterday wasn't banned for the first time, got picked 3 times. Rek'Sai, unbelievably scary when we saw him play.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is just so strong right now. On LPL, he has a 100% win rate, 7 wins, 40 bans, and just crushing every game we saw him here in EU.
Yeah, if you take a look here, you've got Kikis, of course, who just went absolutely crazy on him yesterday. Did such a good job. We've seen him in North America, a little bit less exciting than I think maybe LPL and EU. But Cyanide, what is it about Rek'Sai that makes her so good in the current meta or in the current competitive scene?
She just fills all the slots that you need from a good jungler, like really great early, decent scaling, you have a global, like mobility is just insane. She's overall extremely strong and she needs to get a nerf or it's just going to stay at the same level.
Well, Cyanide said it best.
Yeah, super scary. That wasn't all that happened yesterday. Thursday's games had you guys taking to Twitter. So let's check out your favorite LCS big plays. First up is some fancy footwork and a ride on the Thresh Express that got Overpow out of hot water against Fnatic. From @DRock Warshanks, a hop, skip, a flash, and a lantern. Overpow's acrobatics and Vander's clutch lantern were definitely LCS big plays.
We'll get to that in a second. Reignover, he's on the hunt, thrilling hunt rather. Gonna lock down Overpow. That was just, oh, he's hopped, he's skipped, he's flashed. And the Lantern! Vander gets him out. I thought that was so simple that Overpower was going to die.
Well, I can't quite deliver it as well as you, Quick Shot, but Cyanide, how did Overpower live there?
Yeah, Rainover just trying to be a good team player, leave the kill. If it was me, I would have just totally kill secured that, but just me.
At times. Next up, the Copenhagen Wolf Soren beats Froggen at his own game from Ad Bergla. Holy moly, that's done from Soren.
Quite a lot of farm on Lulu as well, so he should be fairly happy. And Froggen
Go for the jump in, and he does be able to get quite a lot of damage going in with the Spirit Rush. Oh, he needs another attack, and he's not going to get it. And the turret takes down Froggen. Soren coming up with a kill.
Wow, Soren here landing that very, very important stun to Froggen.
It's just such a stunning play. I think that's left a bit of a Soren spot on Froggen's record. And, you know, I definitely think it's a sore point. Even Froggen had something to say about it. He said, someone link me a vid of how to tower dive. I think he's going to need it if he wants to avoid those in future.
Yeah, we're getting straight on that. And then we have Fnatic's Febevin showing us what separates the plays from the LCS big plays from @NotMy. Febevin Mind Games, the Xerath third shot double kill was awesome.
Buster shot kicks Rainover away.
Meganar.
Overpower's come in. Meganar stuns Yellow Star against the wall, but Overpower's got no support. We see the right of the arcane. Shots coming out. Flash, boomerang blade. The third one gets a double kill.
And Willop walks in to his own teammate. It's flying. Double kill.
I had to laugh. There's such a creepy laugh, but it was so good. It was so exciting.
Also, Febevin just with the mind games. Yeah, you think you're gonna live? You think you're gonna live? No, you're dead. Thank you for tweeting those plays. Keep sending in your show-stopping moments to @LOL Esports, and be sure to use that hashtag LCS Big Plays. Now, for a look at today's schedule, Gambit Gaming will start the day looking for their first win versus Fnatic. Elements will play Roccat, and SK Gaming will face the Unicorns of Love later in the day. And Cyanide, I know you're particularly excited to see the Unicorns of Love face SK.
Yeah, just SK, like I said, the most flawless team in Europe right now, but Unicorns of Love, if anyone can do the Lemon Dog story, I think it's them. So I'm really looking forward to their test here to see if they can pull something off and take SK.
Well, they've got the silly name to go with it, so. And always, you can keep tabs on all this information and more at lolesports.com while you're there. You can also catch up on professional League of Legends from around the world on our VODs page, build your own fantasy LCS team, or get information on how to join us live right here in Berlin. But even if you're not here in the studio with us, we still want to know what you think. Tweet at LOL Esports and tell us what new player in the European LCS do you think is making the biggest impact and why, Laurie?
Well, I feel extremely awkward complimenting my replacement, but I think it has to be Rainover. Like, he's just so solid in all of the games, most impressive jungler so far. Kikis had his moments, Lulex had his moments, but Rainover just solid performance in every single game so far.
Jungler, jungler, jungler. I'm going to go slightly different direction. I go to an LCS player that was in the Spring Split last year's return. I think Forgiven is making a lot of waves, mostly because of every other AD carry looking at Forgiven and saying, I'm terrified to play against this guy. So we need to see how they adapt and also see how he performs against Elements, against Fnatic once SK starts facing them.
Remember to tweet at LOL Esports and use the hashtag LCS, and we'll talk about your answers at the analyst desk later in the show. Now let's get into our very first match of the day, Gambit Gaming versus Fnatic. Both teams shook up their iconic rosters over the offseason, but they're having different results so far in 2015. Let's start by taking a look at that Gambit lineup. In the top lane, Kabashard, jungle, Diamond. In the mid lane, it's Nick at AD carry, Pinoy, supporting Edward and their coach Leviathan. As said, an 0-3 start for Gambit in this one, and they're up against Fnatic. That is a tall mountain to climb, and Cyanide, you said it best yesterday, they just have to play better.
Yeah, like, I've had my fair experience of the loose streaks, and it's just so devastating for the team morale. You just gotta get that first win to get the ball rolling and get your confidence back.
Yeah, we need to see if they can. We know that they actually just recently moved into a gaming house for the first time. We know they've got their coach this week, so maybe that'll help. But I think my eyes are on Nick. He's trying to change his champion pool, playing a lot more assassins at the moment, got 15 deaths to his name. And for a man that's meant to be the leading guy in the team, I just don't think he's pulling enough weight to help carry.
Yeah, it's also the guy that we had our eyes on in the beginning and saying, well, he's diversified his champion pool, he's come and stepped up, but maybe he has to switch it up once again. Turning to the red side of the rift, we have Fnatic top lane, Huni in the jungle, Reignover at mid, Febevin at AD carry, Steelback supporting his Yellow Star and their coach Daylor. 3-0 at the top of the table. And yesterday was actually the first game they had. There's only been 3, but there has been a game where they weren't miles ahead coming straight in versus Rocket, and they had to work their way towards that victory.
Yeah, that's what teams need to do, like punish Fnatic for those aggressive plays. Rocket was doing it very well, just turning those engages around. You just got to get them out of their comfort zone. Like you saw the last game, they were a bit confused what to do when the engages were not going their way. So you just got to play good and punish those aggressive moves really hard.
Yeah, I think Rocket played really well yesterday. I just want to highlight some of the differences in control. If we can pull up some of the gold graph changes that we've seen Fnatic in their first game against Elements. This was day 1 of the Spring split, and you can see how Fnatic and Elements are practically even until the 20-minute mark, and then Fnatic just accelerated ahead. Eventually got a very dominant win in around 30-odd minutes. If we contrast that to Rocket in the next graph, you'll notice that Rocket had a similar situation, a little bit more back and forth before 20 minutes, but the important note is at 40 minutes, Rocket clawed all of that control back. They brought the gold graph down, and Rocket actually made some misplays in positioning, I think, which allowed Fnatic to jump on them. Cyanide, I just want to ask your opinion on Fnatic, because you've been saying that they only play this like pick-style comp. We were discussing in the game yesterday how Fnatic were not punishing the map in the side lanes, and they kind of like stalled, really. Is there weaknesses in Fnatic's gameplay that other teams can notice and try to exploit in their style or their side lane management?
Yeah, see, Rocket was just grouping, and Fnatic couldn't find those picks, and they really didn't know what to do. Their wave control was lacking in a way that the waves were not being pushed when they should be, and they were just running around the map not really knowing what to do because they couldn't do their usual picks.
We'll see if Gambit can give them a run for their money. It's time to load into this game, and as we kick it over to the caster desk, there's always pressure to perform when joining a new team, but that's nothing compared to stepping into the shoes of the former world champions.
Fnatic is like really famous in Korea because like there are a lot of fans in Korea because like they won the World Series at season 1, right? Like the players, the old players were like really handsome and they are really superstars, especially like FLICKR and Reckless. Like they have lots of fans, and I was also a fan of them. It is like huge honor for me, but like I have like lots of pressure because like Fnatic was the best team in Europe. And then they have lots of fans, and then like if you don't perform like as they do, then it's gonna be looks like really bad for them. And then we are Korean players, and like they are not used to Korean players. So like we have a lots of pressure like to perform good, so maybe we should just like try our best.
Stepping into the shoes of champions is never easy, and
no,
you get a
handsome
perspective on that.
champions.
Very
like
handsome.
FLICKR and Regulus, not Cyanide. He wasn't mentioned in the video.
Oh well.
Too bad
Still
for
be able
him.
to get to repeat them maybe on the desk, but of course we're gonna get this one started off. I'm Devin Pyrotechnics Young, everybody. Here with me on the desk, as you've noticed, is Martin Deficio Lenga. We'll be bringing you the first 3 games of the day right now, starting with Gambit versus Fnatic.
Yeah, and we have 0-3 Gambit, who's looked kind of lost in every game they played, and then Fnatic, the coordinated team, who just roll over everyone, except for Rocket yesterday, of course, where it was actually like 50 minutes long here. Rocket tried to fight back, and then at the very, very end, Fnatic came out ahead.
Yeah, and Fnatic is one of the rougher tests they've had so far, but this one on paper looks really good for them. In particular, their playstyle seems to really counter what Gambit's been doing lately, and Gambit really has not stepped up to that old level that everybody always synonymizes with their name. And you know, it's a bit unfair to even make the comparison anymore, but at the same time, it's really, really rough. Nick, severely underperforming right now. He's been playing a lot of these assassins, as was mentioned on the desk. And honestly, I think he'd look a little bit better if they did decide to go back into those more utility picks.
I mean, maybe they will. So far, he's stuck to the assassins, and as you just said, it hasn't paid off. I mean, a KD of 1 after 3 games.
Yeah, and see if they mix this one up this time around. Rengar taken off the board. No surprises, Reignover's played that 2 out of 3 games this split.
Okay.
See what they answer with.
So last time we saw Rengar being banned against Reignover, he went for Olaf.
He did.
And he actually had a pretty sick performance as well. Jarvan and Lee Sin is still on the table, so he might go for one of those and actually save the Olaf for later.
Also, the Lissandra is removed. Now, It's worth noting Fnatic has also banned Lee Sin in all of their games this split so far, but I don't know if that's one they want to ban last. They take the Rek'Sai off the board pretty quickly.
So the thing is, I feel like they ban Lee Sin because they want to play Rengar. They don't want to deal with Lee Sin in the early game if they find each other in a one-on-one or a counter gank in favor of the Lee Sin. So now that Rengar is the first ban for Gambit, I actually don't think Fnatic will ban away Lee Sin because they don't have to now.
Yeah, there's really no need. The Gnar, however, that's a little bit more necessary. That one's taken off the board. And Kassadin, now what I'd love to see here is if Nick goes back to a more backline style champion, takes the Xerath away from Fabibin. That guy's got a massive champ pool, but man, has he made some big plays on that champion.
Yeah, Xerath is going to be a contested pick, or should be at least. I mean, you don't want to give it over to Fnatic for free, but every time they've picked it, it's in the last rotation for them. They don't early pick it, so Gambit does have time here. I mean, a lot of actually the power picks have been banned away this time around. If you want to go for the support-wise, Janet could be an option. Otherwise, I mean, we're probably looking at a Jarvan for Diamond.
Quite possibly. He has picked that one as well as the Lee Sin. Interesting builds as well, Skirmisher Saber. Not necessarily being a huge plus or minus for him in general, but see what he does this time around. Definitely want to keep some tabs on Diamond.
Yeah.
Because compared to what Rainover's been doing, this is really, really different. So
yeah, Rainover is basically the main engage for Fnatic together with Yellowstar in every single game. I mean, his Rengar yesterday was absolutely insane, and we haven't seen the same from Diamond just yet here. He will get, however, the Jarvan we talked about beforehand.
No-brainer there.
With Rengar and Rek'Sai banned away. And again, not really any hotly contested picks left. We have all the bans here again. Gnar be taken away, which we often see as a first pick.
This is one of the more conventional ban phases we've seen from either of these teams, actually. Gambit especially has focused a lot on the enemy team and not done as many specifics. I think the Lissandra ban is fairly targeted at Huni.
Yeah.
But apart from that, these ones make a lot of sense. And the Rengar, of course, at Rainover.
And we did see Gambit as well yesterday, banning Kassadin and picking LeBlanc for Nick. So he avoided the counter matchup in the lane. I do wonder if he wants to do it again, because he didn't look good on LeBlanc yesterday. Like a 0-4, he didn't manage to get a single pick. I even believe he lost his laning phase, so it really didn't work out for him. And I mean, if Zed gets locked in for Fnatic, you already force Gambit now to think otherwise, because you don't want to play LeBlanc into Zed, especially not into Fabivent's Zed.
Yeah, absolutely not. They're letting it really tick down to the wire, and there we go. The Rumble and Zed are locked in. Coach is definitely having quite a lot of impact. We mentioned it before this year. Now that they're, of course, behind the players, talking to them. But these two teams really taking their time in the countdown. Now Leviathan will be whispering to the ears of Gambit Gaming as they look to pick their next rotation.
And this is the second time we see Fnatic early pick the Zed for Fabivent. He really believes in his own ability to carry games on this champion, despite him actually going like 0-0-11 last time he played it against H2K. And he was mainly just split pushing for a few minutes to take a tower and then kind of bait a team fight. And that was the only thing he managed to do in the game. But still, he wants it early on. We know he can play it really well. And of course, Huni and Rumble. I mean, again, remember H2K? The ultis from Rumble were fantastic.
Yeah. 7-1-11 was his score that game. Really fantastic. I mean, Gambit's going to have an uphill climb no matter what they pick here. But they're having a little bit of fun at the moment.
It is the fun though, because Rumble and Zed, I mean, normally they wouldn't fit together, because you have a split pusher and you have a team fighter. You want to like 5 versus 5 with a Rumble, and you want to obviously split push with a Zed. But Fnatic last time around just used Fabivent to move to the side lanes and take down a tower whenever he was low enough for him to just move in there and take it. And then he would just back away. He wouldn't actually challenge anyone in a one-on-one. He would look to team fight with the Rumble and the rest of Fnatic on a Zed.
And they were able to make extensive use of Yellowstar's roaming on Annie as well. Now, that champion's still up. Haven't seen as much yesterday, but still a distinct possibility. And of course, Gambit already had that lock in the Graves Thresh lane. Pretty straightforward laning setup.
Very standard lane here in Europe, where we still really favor Graves as probably the number 180 carry. I mean, Sivir,
look at Forgiven. He's been rocking it.
Very true.
And everybody wants to play like that.
These European teams focus so much on the early laning phase, where Graves is one of the strongest AD carry. And then the mid game, obviously, where he has a big power spike as well. So not too much looking towards the late game, but instead here we want to fight in the mid game. We want to get some dragons. We want to get the global goal advantage, and then we will snowball the game.
Yellowstar takes the Leona again. And Corki is also picked up too. So it's starting to look like a bit the mishmash of what they've been doing the last couple of games.
Again though, Yellowstar gets his engage support here. Leona and Annie has been the two go-to champions for him. It's a bit of a tough lane matchup, however. Corki and Leona into a Thresh and a Graves. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Fnatic actually try and swap away from it, or play very, very passive if they do get into the 2v2 lane. Depending, of course, on what Gambit picks here.
Well, and there is something to be said for the lane matchup with Edward especially, because this is a man who understands Thresh quite well as a champion.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be the Thresh Prince here in Europe back when it came out in Season 3. I didn't manage to get the title because I wasn't good enough compared to Eddie on that champion. But you talked...
okay, Deficio.
Thank you. You talked about Nick going back to more passive playstyle in the mid lane. He's just locked in a Lulu for himself, a champion he played a lot last year, where he was sticking to these utility passive mid laners.
This is also looking quite well. Gambit's side, Cabo Shard is going to be taking the Jack. So far, we've only seen that on Giants Gaming's Warlib, and this time, Fnatic are going to have to find an answer to that earlier on in the game. Jacks can get pretty terrifying the longer the game goes.
Yeah, so Gambit here actually not even looking to straight up teamfight Fnatic. They want to spread out the map a little bit with that Jax, and obviously you have so much engage through a Lulu and a Jarvan combination to start fights, or even roam up and help the Jax if he gets ganked here. So Gambit really looking to, again, late game scaling on the Jax, let him be able to split push one-on-one, see if he can duel the Zed in the late game.
But the mid game for Fnatic is so fantastic right now, and Reignover gets the Olaf once again. Last time he did that quite successful, much better than Horo fared in the initial choice of it, but some might say a little bit different, a little bit weird, and he makes it work. He has once. Let's see if he can do it again.
It's a strong pickup, especially because with the new jungle items here, you can get the Juggernaut early, you get the 500 HP, and then you build it into a Warmox, and you're just so tanky already, and you have so much damage because you're an Olaf here who can just run straight to the enemy backline, chase down the Graves here, or the Lulu. So it gives a very, very strong, again, team fight mid-game from Fnatic. You have the Corki, you have obviously the Rumble, and I expect for Bivin once again to join the fights on the Zed and not focus on straight up like trying to one-on-one a Jax all game long. No, he's going to join his team. They're going to try and move faster than Gambit, like we saw against H2K. Use that Rumble ulti to really disengage, or sorry, re-engage after they have stepped away the first time Gambit tries to go in.
Yeah, they have a lot of catch potential too. We'll see how that works out for them. Now, as we load into the game, go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag GMB win or FNC win, and we'll see who you think came out ahead in this game. I am personally extremely excited for the way this one has shaped up in picks and bans, loading up onto the Rift. And of course, Reignover once again rocking the Brolov skin. I don't think I can do that shout more than once. That's just a one-time thing. But we'll take a look at that. The banners are lit, the stage is set, and the players are onto the Rift. It's game 1 of day 2, week 2.
And what a game here for Gambit. I mean, if they lose, you start at 0-4, and we have only 18 games to play this season. You want to get top 6, you're straight into the playoffs, you don't have to worry about relegation, and obviously you want to dodge out of this last spot in the standing. Number 10 goes straight down to the Challenger Series, no chance of playing into the relegation.
Yeah, when you start 0-4, that's going to be a really, really tough mountain to climb over. But Gambit pulling out all the stops this time around. A little bit of early action here as Huni's going to find Cabo Shard in the Gambit jungle. She's going to get a little bit more chase down, and the rest of Fnatic is moving quickly as well. This has been their calling card this split so far.
Really been the same level 1 from Fnatic close to every game, where they just invade into the enemy jungle here, place a few deep wards so they can get as much information as possible of where Gambit is sending their dual lanes around, or their top laner in this situation, if they do see Cabo Shard walk by it, and simply trying to predict where the lanes are going. And I want to see here with Reignover, because last time he played Olaf, he had the same start, he had the mana potion as well, but he didn't use it in the first clear. He actually managed to do a full clear from Grump all the way down to Crooks here without even having to go back to base, didn't use a mana potion either. I want to see if he wants to do a full clear again and just really try and power farm on this Olaf.
Yeah, it's one you definitely want to keep your eyes on too. And Reignover has proven to be extremely proficient at these massive tanky champions, especially the tanky builds that he always goes. His Rengars are about the same way. And look at this. Fnatic, they are going to get spotted by this, but they're going in mass to try and grab a little bit of jungle away from Gambit.
So this is very standard when you have a lane swap. You always want to invade on the enemy's buff, which is obviously on the side where your dual lane is going to. So you make sure you get 2 buffs secured, because they can't just invade on your red buff now. That would be way too risky. Too many members from Fnatic on this top side of the map here. Standard enough start. Also giving the Grump over to Huni. This time he doesn't actually die to it like he did yesterday. He gets instant level 2, go back to base, buy a few more potions, and then he teleports to the bottom lane. And he actually already has a very, very good start in this lane swap.
And that's exactly what he's doing right there to start this one off. He's got the Doran shield, should have a little bit of sustain available. Diamond now going to be moving to the bottom side.
Look here what Gambit is doing. They actually pushed in the bottom wave, and then the dual lane recalled, and they're now going to go top lane. So they really want to force this 2v2 and 1-on-1. Cabo Shard just teleported to the bottom lane himself after doing the Raptor camp, I believe. So he's also level 2. just lost like basically 5-6 minions that Huni managed to pick up on the tower.
I feel like this is more for Cabochard than it is for Pinoy and Edward, just because they want to get that Jax as unmolested as possible in the early game.
Yeah, they really want to get the Jax going, so he can actually become a split push force. And
whoa! Executed!
The thing is, he did this last time he played Olaf. He was so low and he just kept kiting in and out here. But let's see, Diamond down towards Huni, and that's a fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this one goes. Huni actually decides to turn it around. Wait a minute, Cabochard jumps in. Huni living dangerously.
Yeah, again, I mean, you want to get as low as possible on Olaf so you can really use your passive. And it worked for him last time with this game here, just taking a little bit too much damage. He didn't actually even kill the camp. He died to it.
Yeah, you're right.
Reset, and still alive. He did manage to get his Stalker's Blade now, so we'll get a bit more gold. And Diamond, he's still in the bottom lane.
Yep, Huni is in some trouble, though. This could be first blood, and it is. It goes to Diamond.
And this one-on-one for Gambit now, with them swapping around, forcing it, and Diamond taking the route from, obviously, Fnatic's blue buff down to this bottom lane. Really want to make sure Cabochard here can get a good early start on Jax. Didn't get the kill, but assist and denying farm from a Rumble is good enough.
Yep, now Pinoy in some trouble as well. Fnatic, they saw the fan vote. They realized they've got to jump up the game just a little bit early on. Reignover is hanging around here, but if he gets too close to that brush, he will get spotted out. Pinoy and Edward playing very safe in this 2v2 lane.
He's going to try and get 80 gold for himself. Now you do have your Stalker's Blade with 30 extra. And he'll be able to pick it up for himself. But again, he just want to focus on farming here early on. He want to get that level 6 and all as well. Oh, Yellow Star onto Pinoy.
Oh, the hook. They're actually going to catch Steel back as Eddie goes in, but Pinoy already very low in this one. Flay backwards, and they'll just settle for trading, but Pinoy did not get the best of that out of the carries.
Well, the thing is, very nice response by Eddie here, making sure Steelbike couldn't actually auto-attack him, just had to Phosphor Bomb and then step away due to Eddie hooking him. And Diamond now onto the mid lane. He's not done yet. I think you heard what we talked about in the pre-game about him not ganking or being aggressive enough compared to what Reignover has done.
Onto his style up. Yep, he's going to find Forbidden. Reignover's already here as well. Nick wants to make something happen, but he doesn't have quite the damage. Reignover now moving on to Diamond, and he'll back away, but made him think twice about jumping in.
Yeah, and actually forced a flash as well from Forbidden. Ghost as well used by Reignover, so a lot of summoner spells blown. Cabochard straight onto Huni here.
Yeah, a lot of minions in the area. Dangerous to try to keep sustaining that fight, but so far he's doing quite well up in the farm department, but he's got just the double Doran's blades too, so it'll take him a little while for his item set to be there. Yellow Star though, very low. He's going to Zenith Blade onto Pinoy, but Pinoy returns fire quite fast. Very, very low. Yellow Star going to have to hang out under this tower.
And again, Gambit here playing very aggressive in the two side lanes. Only Nick has just been sitting in back and farming on this Lulu against the Zed, but Pinoy and Eddie making some moves in this top lane. Still very even in farm, and Diamond once again looking towards the bottom lane.
There are no quiet lanes right now. This is really, really action-packed opening for the one kill that we've seen as well. Gambit holding a slight gold lead because of that. But now Diamond, oh, he's going to get sight of this ward, but that is going to tip off Huni, who actually just goes straight for him for a second. Thinks better of it. Once again, living dangerously. Nick now, Deathmark is on him. Forbidden is going to try to make the play, but the Deathmark won't be nearly enough as a wild growth is forced.
No trading ultis here, but because this ward was cleared by Diamond, it actually forces Reignover to run to the bottom lane to make sure Huni doesn't get ganked here. And he's now straight down, ready for a potential counter gank. Otherwise, they're just going to try and push out the wave and reset it so Cabochard can keep it here around his own turret, where Huni is very exposed without his flash.
Yeah, Huni trying to push Cabochard away, actually going to force the fight. Reignover sees the time is right to jump on in. Cabochard still level 5, forced to flash away from the 2v1, stays safe, but at the cost of a summoner spell.
Oh, very nice by Fnatic here. You get to push the wave out, you reset it, you bounce it back from the tower, and you force the flash from Cabochard. Eddie now roaming from this top lane.
Oh, they're going to look for Reignover. Oh, the flash play! And Reignover is just trying to take the fight, but Diamond has too much HP, and Edward is going to help him get the kill here. Nearly going down. Diamond a little bit low. Huni, the equalizer is down, but he doesn't realize how many people were right there, and Nick is going to take him. That is a 2-kill advantage, even further over Fnatic.
And Gambit, man, coming into this game, everyone is just looking to make plays. Eddie roaming from the top lane all the way down. Flash Flay onto Reignover. He had no summoners. Obviously, Diamond joined in. 2 kills now. No response yet from Fnatic.
Where was this Gambit the last 3 games? They are playing completely revitalized. Fnatic looks like the passive team compared to them, and I'm just so surprised at the turnaround.
Definitely a good start on the chains for Gambit, because yesterday against SK, they were actually very passive. They were letting SK switch between the lanes and just early push down these towers here, get a big goal lead. And Gambit tried often like send like one guy up for a gank. No, it didn't work. They backed away and then they didn't do anything for a few minutes. This is very different from Gambit.
And this is Diamond also stepping up. He's been quite all over the place, really, and he's got 2 kills and an assist to show for it. 100% field participation to start this game off.
Yeah, it's funny because with Gambit, they get a lot of new members. I mean, if you look at the changes they've made the last year, I mean, Coupon was in the top 8, Darren was in the top 8, and Cabochard now, of course. So they have made a lot of changes, yet whenever Gambit really starts performing, it's when the old guys, Eddie and of course Diamond, start stepping up and performing, making the plays, and make sure that the rest of the team can then follow. That's when we really see Gambit do well.
Well, this is really a must-win for them at this point. Really weird to say that so early on in the split, but no one wants to start off 0-4. And if they could pick up a win against what many consider to be the, or at least top 2 team right now in Fnatic, that's got to be a confidence booster to this Gambit squad.
For sure, and also shows Gambit here that they can play aggressive early on. They can make the plays. Diamond can play this job in here and actually make sure he gets all his lanes rolling. Just a good confidence boost so far from Gambit. And if there was any nerves going into the game, they're gone now. You just really hype them. After such a good start, you get completely hyped.
Let's see if they can keep this one up, too, because they definitely have some late game scaling on their side. Quite a lot of sustain later on in fights, and some serious tank stats. Cabochard now going to try to duel it out with Huni. They've switched up to the top lane as the dual lanes have gone back down to the bottom, but Diamond is waiting in the wings, and Cabochard hoping to bait Huni out, but he's playing too safe here.
Yeah, there's a ping ward from Fnatic because Huni knows that Cabochard is gonna constantly jump on him and like force these one-on-one fights. So the ping ward plays is actually very smart because it opens up for Reignover to stand there and be ready to go in when Cabochard goes aggressive. And he's actually moving up there now after the red buff, but Diamond is still nearby. Will be spotted by this ping.
Oh, they're both gonna run into it actually. So Diamond turns away as soon as he places the ward. That'll give that one back over to Fnatic, but Huni incredibly safe. He puts that other tricky bit to the top here, but wait a minute. Cabochard had no idea that Reignover was on his way. Equalizer's thrown down, but it's not going to connect. Huni very low. Cabochard wants to find the kill, but he turns around and Reignover is going to duel him down. Fnatic with their first kill of the game.
I'm not really sure what happened here. They saw Reignover because of the ward placed by Diamond, and he walked away, and yet Cabochard stayed and actually tried to farm the minions way too far up in the laning phase, not even respecting potential gank from Reignover.
Seemed like he lost track of what was going on. They had to have seen that. Now here we go. Yellowstar going to jump onto Pinoy. Edwards. Hook was not quite long enough to stretch out and pick Steel back, and that will continue to be a bit of a farm fest down there.
Yeah, and once again, Diamond on this job and going for skirmishes Saber. We have seen it in every single game from him so far. He starts with the Trailblazer, then he switches over when he wants to enchant it. And again, it just opens up for him to be stronger in like these small skirmish fights we will see quite often, especially between him and Cabochard against Huni and Reignover. And then obviously for the late game, you're going to have that 20% damage reduction on the likes of the enemy AD carry.
This time it's worked out well for him. In the previous games, not so much, but this already looks like a very different Diamond procs than we're used to seeing from the last 3 games.
Yeah, so it's not even that much about the item itself this early on in the game for him. It's just about him being very active on the map and actually pulling off these ganks. Because he had the Trailblazer when he got all his kills and assists. And obviously if you want to keep ganking, Stalker's Blade would have been a better option for him. But going for the skirmishes Saber. So let's see if he can actually use it. If you find someone like Reignover in a one-on-one. Typically, you don't want to fight Olaf though.
Yeah, and now that he has his Juggernaut enchantment too, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to take his health bar all the way down. Reignover going to roam through into this jungle looking for some wards. Clear ran right into a pink, but Eddie is there with the hook. Is there follow-up available? Not quite yet. Nick is making his way, but Yellowstar's going to throw down the Solar Flare. Reignover actually might be trying to fight. There's a teleport coming in for Huni. Nick is extremely low, but so is Reignover. Pops his ultimate. Cabochard, Deathmark is on him. Fabivin going forward. This is a very messy fight from both teams, but Reignover has to be careful. Diamond as well. Chilling Smite is down. They don't connect on the second one. Reignover hooked up. Diamond picks up the kill, and wait a minute. It's starting to turn around. Shut down for Fabivin. Cabochard is going down, and Eddie tries to get the Lantern save, but just too late. It's a 2-for-1 for Fnatic.
Yeah, 2-for-1 here. Teleport came down from Huni. We actually saw all of Gambit just move to the river as soon as the fight was about to break out. That's the thing Fnatic has done so well in the past few games where teams didn't react in time. Gambit, though, they knew it was going to happen. They knew a fight would break out, so they moved. Still end up losing it. 2-for-1 in favor of Fnatic.
Yeah, and with that, Fnatic's just about brought the gold back even. Wasn't a huge lead to begin with, but they're showing that they can skirmish. Let's take a look at that one again.
Yes, again, look at the minimap here. All the pinks and everyone moving to Reignover and Edward here fighting each other. But Nick Gets caught out and he drops so low, forced to use his own ulti. He's actually out of the fight now from the side of Gambit. So there's only 3 guys left, and that's why Fnatic also can keep chasing. Rainover on the Olaf can land his axe here, get the slowdown in the very end. I believe it is Diamond that managed to single out first after he jumps in. A bit of a hero move.
He does take down Rainover though,
yeah,
so he got something for his trouble.
He was slowed anyway, he wasn't going to get away, so that was a good move.
All around, well played. It was very, very messy to begin with, but yeah, Fnatic coming up a little bit better in the skirmish right there. Now Diamond, we're roaming back to the scene of the crime this time. He's got crab on his mind, maybe not. There we go.
We'll pick it up. I mean, if you look at that fight again, if Nick hadn't been caught out at first, he forced ulti himself and he was so low he just had to run away. Gambit could easily have turned that one around. They were there first, before Huni even had to teleport in. And he didn't have ulti, I believe, actually, from Huni's side.
It's not the first time he's had to do it. And actually, he could be in some trouble. He's got it available right now, but there is a 3-man gang squad on him. How long can he last? Not very. Fabivin takes him down as Eddie tries to make the save, and he does not get the flash where he was going. No idea why he did that one. Rainover says, that's fine. I'll take another.
And this time here, Fnatic has the edge. First a gang onto Nick, he had no summoners from beforehand, and obviously Huni coming down with the ulti. 2 kills, 2 of them went over to Fabivin. Definitely the guy you want to get fed on this Zed here. If he becomes so strong that suddenly Cabochard can't even one-on-one him, then everything's just going to be in favor of Fnatic. Diamond here fighting around the blue buff.
Diamond's in some serious trouble too, but Rainover a little bit too low to contest this now that Cabochard's made his way. They might have to give up this blue, but Fabivin is around. Cabochard instead is looking for blood. Meanwhile, Pinoy's in some trouble. Rainover, he's got to be dead after this. Yes, he will be. Pinoy picks him up with a buckshot.
But look at the bottom lane here. Steelbag is just pushing the tower all alone. Pinoy had left the lane. Could be a tower unless Nick can get there in time. The minions are dying, trying to block his Sheen as often as possible. That's going to be a tower for Fnatic.
Does manage to take it out. All that gold in his pocket. Gambit starting to move down towards this dragon area as well. A couple of wards cleared out as they go. Actually, they missed that ping. So they'll start this one up, but this should be seen right now. Can Fnatic react to it in time, though? Looks like no.
It's safe. I mean, Rainover is already dead, remember. So the dragon will go over to Gambit. Got a kill on a dragon, had to trade it for a tower. And now has the first 6% AD and AP buff. A nice little move here with Cabochard actually following the team down and then teleporting back to the lane to pick up all the farm.
Yeah, Cabochard able to defend that quite well here. Still sitting on just 1 Triforce piece. He's got a little bit more than that, but here we go. Yellowstar and Fabivin are actually looking to move in and try to make a dive here. Huni going a little bit forward. There's the Solar Flip. Cabochard, oh no! He's going to get his Counter-Strike off. Actually leaps backwards, but there is way too much damage here. And Fabivin picks up a spree kill now. 3-0-2.
And this is why Fnatic also loves to play Zed in the mid lane and early pick it for Fabivin. They know he can do well in the one-on-one laning phase, and then he can start roaming around with Yellowstar and just pick up these easy kills for himself, get him extremely fed. I mean, look at him, Blade and Brutalizer 15 minutes in. He can one-on-one everyone here. He just has to follow his captain. The captain will set it up for him, and be nice serve.
Well, he's using it to secure the kills quite well, and that's really great to get ahead just in time for this mid-game. Yeah, so they've given up a dragon. Yeah, Pinoy was able to take a tower down bottom, but still, Fnatic is looking very good heading into this mid-game.
Gambit actually, again, Gambit had a good start to the game, but then the roaming from Yellowstar simply started on this Leone, and it's so tough to play against him when heavy engaged supports are in the meta. Because he plays Annie, he plays Leone, so unless you ban both of them, you might push him onto the likes of a Thresh or a Janna. But those champions he mastered back in the summer split. So you don't really have anything, you just want to completely ban away from Yellowstar and prevent him from making these early plays.
Yeah, but even if you do try to ban out those picks from Yellowstar, there's a lot that's left on the board too. So Gambit in a bit of a catch-22 there. They can't ban everything that they need to deal with this Fnatic squad. Speaking of, starting to move into the Gambit jungle, placing a few pink wards down as they go. Eddie nearly checks into that one. Pinoy's going to realize something is up. Yellowstar still on the hunt. And they're really getting aggressive to try and take down their second-tier bottom turret, but this might be over-aggressive by Fnatic.
So they're letting Fabivin push out a wave here because they know Gambit has to send 2 guys down to defend him, or at least stay nearby as backup. And suddenly you have an opening in the mid lane or in the top lane. In this situation was the mid being pushed in by Rainover. So just getting 2 lanes pushed down at the same time, and because your Zed is so strong, you know Gambit has to send 2 guys to defend. And that's why you suddenly have an advantage somewhere else on the map.
Masters of rotations right here, and even as Cabochard was about to push in, Huni teleports back up to the top to defend once again. So they've not given much up but that 1 turret down on the bottom, and of course the earlier dragon. But so far, Fnatic doing quite well, grabbed themselves about 2,500 gold ahead of Gambit.
Yeah, and for Gambit now, because Cabochard has died so many times, he had a good start to the game, got a lot of farm. First assist on the first blood, obviously from Diamond. But then, he just hasn't really gained anything, and he's actually becoming, I wouldn't say weaker and weaker, but it's going to take him longer and longer now to scale up to late game, where he can really start dueling FlippEven.
Well, he got a lot of those. He got a lot of those kills early on as well. Doesn't necessarily help as much for the rest of the team. Now, over on Diamond's side, he's also gotten quite a lot of kills at the expense of some of the other members of his team. But some of those are more item dependent. They're going to take a while to scale up. And I want to give pretty big credit to Nick here. He's done far better than he has in other games, even if that hasn't been saying as much.
Yeah, I mean, he is, again, he's falling back to his old playstyle where he doesn't have to make the big plays on an assassin and just more utility-based. But he has fallen behind in the laning phase, and FlippEven has been able to roam, so wasn't really any pressure from Nick in that case.
Oh, yep, he couldn't go that way, and he might not live very long. No, thank you. Huni picks him up, but he is hooked in by Eddie, and they have to be very careful here not to overcommit. Diamond gonna try to make the play. Rainover trapped inside the Cataclysm. Huni gonna throw down the equalizer. Rainover's done. The flag on top of his head. Huni is hooked in. Can they make an extra kill? Not quite enough damage. Yellow Star bodyguarding for this one, and Steelback will be able to get away, but the chase is still on.
So chasing, yeah, FlippEven is down towards the bottom side of the map here. He will be able to join Huni.
Oh,
dodged.
Wide to the left. Here. Yeah, so really only lost one member in that after they picked up Pinoy, but close calls.
Yeah, still, while we saw the fight in the mid lane, Cabochard was actually just pushing top by himself and getting a tower for Gambit. So again, getting quite a lot of global gold. Might be able to get a mid lane as well. Keep in mind, you have the flag from Java and obviously the Jax to take down these towers. But anyway, 4v1 around the tower, not really in favor of Pinoy. And this again, this is just Fnatic completely controlling the bottom side and the mid lane. And obviously the jungle of Gambit so they can move between them and dive if someone is left alone. But meanwhile, again, look at top lane. Cabochard is just pushing. Nobody's there to stop him, so he's going to get a tower and a kill also for Gambit here.
Yeah, quite a lot. Nearly had enough to finish up Huni, of course. There we go. And looks like Fnatic going to be moving down once again into this jungle, trying to secure up enough of a chance to get this next dragon. They should be in a prime position to contest it.
Fnatic just setting up all the wards around it. We have obviously Rainover being very tanky already on this Olaf, despite him dying a few times. I'm not sure Gambit wants to fight here again. Your Jax is not really strong enough to join a team fight. He won't be able to tank up a lot of damage. And you really just want to go back to farming and just power farm for the next 10-15 minutes if you can get away with it on the Jax here, not necessarily going to a straight 5 versus 5. He will have teleport for the fight.
And he's got the Trinity Force. At this point, it starts to get a little bit hairy for Fnatic. If Huni wants to play against him, he's going to have to zone quite well.
Yeah. Only problem is, Fnatic is running again with Leona, so they have some hard engage. If you have to teleport down, it takes time for you to join the fight. And if Fnatic has just dived on to the rest of your players or your teammates, and they might already be dead or the fight will already be lost because they're so low, your teleport will do nothing. Cabochard focusing here on pushing, and you also see again, Gambit giving up the dragon. You don't want a team fight. Instead, you have actually Pinoy and Diamond going straight to the top side. They're going to start the Baron here.
Yeah, they are.
21 minutes in, but Fnatic already placed the ward beforehand.
Yeah, and they sweep it, realizing, oh, we're not going to get away with this one very easily. Cabochard actually a little bit out of position, and he's going to get solar flared on. Yellow Star jumps onto him. Do they have the damage to polish him off? No, because he's got the leap to Diamond. And now FlippEven trying to make the 1v2, but Nick and Edward are going to back out.
That was just really smart by Fnatic. Knowing there's a Jax on the enemy team, again, the Baron is weaker here in 5-on-1 early game. Placed that ward already at 20 minutes. There's always a chance of a Jax taking together with, let's say, the Jarvan or the Graves, like Gambit here tried to do. So Fnatic, ready for it, picks up a Dragon for it as well.
Stop short on that one now. Be able to back in safety for the time being. Everything's going to settle down just a little bit. It's only 22 minutes into this game, but there's been quite a lot of action on the board. A pair of dragons, one each to each team, pretty much uncontested. We've really seen quite a lot of skirmishes and 4v1s for the most part. Not so many actual team fights.
No, just again, it's been about trying to get your Jax fed for Gambit and Fnatic trying to shut down the Jax. So they've met around Cabochard a few times. So far, only a 1,000 gold difference in favor of Fnatic, even in turrets, even in dragons. And obviously, if you look at the farm, yes, we have Nick and losing, but Cabochard is so far ahead compared to Huni. In terms of farm because he's just sitting and like split pushing over and over and over, while Huni has now been running around with his team on the Rumble, who of course isn't really a champion that needs too much gold to reach his early power spot with the magic penetration.
And you highlighted how far behind Nick had fallen in lane against Forbidden. Take a look at that gold right there. And just, it's a pretty large deficit to compare. I still think he's been doing better than he has on these Assassins, but it's still a little bit rough. And in all fairness, Forbidden, probably one of the most exciting and flashy players in that mid lane, and that's saying a lot here in Europe.
Yeah, and of course Forbidden picked up his kills together with the team. It wasn't like him one-on-oneing anyone. No, he ran together with Yellowstar and Reynolds to pick them up. But Cabochard, he's so much stronger than Huni in the one or in the split push here, so he can always get in, get a few hits on the tower, back away. Diamond once again is staying nearby, ready to help, or maybe dive on Huni.
Cabochard doesn't really give a hoot about the KDA. He's going to try to make the play anyways. They jump onto Huni. Here comes Diamond, the smite. They're going to be able to take him down and walk it out. Nicely done by Gambit.
So because Fnatic are just sitting in the mid lane, not really doing anything, Nick is sitting there for the wave clear, then Diamond could just walk to this bottom lane. There's no wards in the jungle from Fnatic.
Yellowstar's here though. They're going to focus Cabochard quite well, and actually Zenith Blade going to connect. They smite him down, but he's going to be able to flash out of this one. Rocket still connecting. Do they have the chase? They're not even going to look for Diamond. Nick is coming to the rescue. Do they have enough to save him? Wild Growth, he stays alive. The chase is still on. Now they turn their attention over to Nick. Reignover though, eating quite a lot of damage. The shield comes out for Nick. Can he be saved? They just turned targets, and what was that? Massive kill. Pinoy and Edward come up with another one. Nick, though, is in some trouble. Steelback will manage to even the score. Both mid laners back to Fountain.
I really see why Reynova likes the Olaf here. He hit every single axe while he was chasing, unless it was flashed or leap striked away by Cabochard here. But Fnatic managed to get a kill, and meanwhile, not even sure how Flippin died in this 1-on-2. He tried to obviously kill Pinoy. Not sure if he expected Eddie to be nearby.
Yeah, just one more auto attack was all they need. Let's take a look at that, how that one worked out.
Yeah, he sees both of them, and Eddie flashing in, and then he actually thinks he can just assassinate Pinoy. Dancing around, dodging actually quite a lot of the damage, also the shuriken in the very end, and stays alive.
Kill secured.
Double shield as well from Eddie. Lantern and obviously face of the mountain.
That's the first time Forbidden's really tried to make a solo play, and he does a really interesting style of Zed. He goes with the team, waits for Yellowstar to set him up, and then goes in, secures the kill. That time, went up on his own, and it didn't work.
No, didn't work for him at all. Actually, very important kill for Pinoy.
That's his first?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that actually went over to Eddie.
Did he? Oh, well, important kill for Eddie then.
I mean, gold's still important. Can't hurt. Fnatic trying to clear out as much vision as they can in the river, but that will make them think a little bit more about how aggressive they want to get, but they really have to start worrying about Cabochard right now, because he's just, every single time he gets a chance, running over and trying to push down towers. Yellowstar going to combine up with Steelback on Nick, but yeah, teleport's coming in. Whoa, Nick went nowhere. All the same, they could start this Baron up, but they're going to give up a tower for it at the very least. Cabochard, completely unperturbed by this, is pushing in with a minion wave. Gambit trying to react. The Baron has been started, and it's going low pretty quickly. Let's see if they can contest this while we see Cabochard pushing in the bottom side. Pinoy, Deathmark was on him, won't be enough to take him down. Turret goes down, still pushing right now. The Baron is low, but Diamond is here. This will be a smite fight. Plus Yellowstar continues to mount. Teleport, they've got the ward, they're going to turn the fight. Can they make the play here? It looks like Diamond going incredibly low, but Yellowstar goes down. They managed to answer back on the Diamond. Here comes Cabochard. Can he pick Reignover? Not quite. He's going to take down Cabochard himself, and it is a 2-for-1 trade. But no Baron.
They managed to stop the Baron here again. You 2-for-1. Got the bottom lane tower as well for Gambit. Really, this game is all about just trading back and forth. Oh, you get a few kills. We take a tower for it instead. Over and over and over. We see how February, he doesn't want to go one-on-one against Cabochard just yet here. He goes with his team. Teleport behind from Huni. That's how you get the fight started. 5 versus 4 from Fnatic. But in the end, Gambit managed to stop the Baron. Got a tower as well.
You know, before this game, we had said that the toughest test that Fnatic's faced so far has been Roccat, but this has absolutely turned that on its head. Gambit taking the fight, they've just about evened the score up, and this split push Jax on Cabochard is just starting to take down all their turrets without any reaction. They didn't even get the Baron there, as you mentioned. So what can Fnatic do short of just trying to stop him as soon as he gets to those turrets?
Well, there's no teleport for Cabochard now, so that's a window Fnatic can use. If he goes to a side lane again, you can force a teamfight 5 versus 4 in favor of Fnatic, and then you should be able to go for the Baron after, or maybe push down a tower. So as long as there's no teleport on Cabochard, he can't really split push as aggressively as we've seen beforehand, and now they want to fight for the Dragon.
Yeah, this would be the 5v5 if they buy enough time for Forbidden to make it there, and they will be able to. Scuttle Crab is down in favor of Fnatic. Do they just pull this one out? Not quite yet.
Couple shot as well. Instead of finishing Blade of the Ruin King, a second item, he actually gets a bit of armor, ready to join the team fight. And also in case he does get a one-on-one against Forbidden, you want to have that armor stacked up.
Dragon's going low here, but Eddie is looking for an in, and he can't quite get it. Rainover goes hooked for a second, but Gambit have to bail out of that fight, and Fnatic are going to pick up their second Dragon of the game.
So again, Gambit doesn't really feel like they can take a straight-up team fight into the Rumble, into the Corki, who are so strong here around again this mid-early to late game from Fnatic. And decides to just back away. And notice how Cabochard has to stay in the mid lane. No teleport. He can't even show himself in the bottom lane, even though there's a massive wave being built up, because then Fnatic can start the Baron.
They're certainly trying to force as much as they can around that side, but Gambit won't give him the satisfaction just yet. Wave pushing Fnatic way in the bottom side, but it is Gambit's way in the top. As you mentioned, Cabochard can't go back to his old tricks just yet. Still needs some time for that teleport to come back up.
We even see Diamond here going Hexstringer on Java. Not the biggest fan of it, but I know why he's doing it, because again, he's not expecting a 5 versus 5. He's expecting these one-on-one 2v2 fights where he wants a bit more damage on the Jarvan, and if he's facing something like the Rumble, obviously the Hexstringer shield is going to be great for him. But in a straight-up team fight, he should have just gone full tank after getting the Warriors in charge. Once again,
here we go.
Starting the Baron. Cabochard is in the bottom
already
lane.
half health. He's still not got the teleport, so yeah, Fnatic's going to be able to pick this one up. No problem. Down it goes.
And that's the thing. Fnatic again playing around the lack of teleport from Cabochard. You had the bottom lane pushing up, and that's why Gambit had to send someone down to stop it, and instantly Baron is taken by Fnatic.
And all they had was Pinoy to try and steal it with a collateral damage. He uses that key summon or that key spell, and it's down, not available for these next fights. So Fnatic, you know, you give them an inch and they'll take a Baron.
Good use here, good call by Fnatic as soon as he saw Cabochard with the wave being built up. And that's why you often see teams, whenever they have a chance to go and meet a wave before it gets too big, they go and actually clear it out and start building a small wave for themselves. They can start slow pushing, so you avoid this situation where suddenly you have 3 or 4 waves at your own turn and you have to go down defend it, and then those can make a play. So you gotta meet them waves early on. As soon as you see an opening, just go down, clear the caster minions, leave the melee minions alive, because they are the ones that take time to kill. And that's where your wave slowly builds up bigger and bigger. So just get rid of the caster minions and you have a slow push starting.
Well, they're certainly trying to push down middle right now, but they're using Forbidden the way a lot of people would recommend Zed down in the bottom side. Not sure how that solo would work out against Cabochard, but he's not going to have to worry about that for now, because Gambit's top laner is more interested in the top side.
Yeah, with their last Whisper completed for February, I actually think he's going to be fairly confident meeting Cabochard in a one-on-one.
He's got a QSS too.
Yes, so even if he does get stunned by the Counter-Strike, he will be able to QSS out of it. But now Fnatic again, going back to just controlling the bottom lane and the mid wave, and then you ward up again the bottom side of Gambit's jungle. Haven't actually done it from Fnatic's side, but they should do it here, so you can see if Gambit is sending someone down to the bottom lane and try and kill Forbidden, suddenly you have an opening.
He's going to try to clear some of these waves out. And actually, Cabochard, yeah, he took a little bit of a roundabout way to get to him here, but level advantage, not too much. There we go, Nick was moving in as well, and inside the jungle, Eddie is going to land the hook onto Rainover, but it's still dangerous to go in. Yellowstar's a little bit low on this one. Going to take the Empowered Recall out, so not recommended for Fnatic to try to start a straight fight here. They'll hang back.
Yeah, waiting for Yellowstar, who was actually poked down to around 30%. Wait for him to rejoin the team. But they're playing it right with the Baron. You want to split at least 2 waves, because again, you're buffing up these minions here, so it becomes harder and harder to kill them from Gambit. And now Cabochard chasing Forbidden, just shadowing away.
Yeah, he's not going to take any chances right there. Up in the top side.
That's good.
Huni is going to be, yeah, they're going to do a 3-1-1 here. I like this quite a lot, but maybe they go a little bit further. Pinoy took an axe to the head, although Diamond wants to make Rainover pay for that one. Inside the cage, the Solar Flare's down. Every member of Gambit starting to go very low as Steelback picks up the kill. Huni throws down a very, very big equalizer. Gambit forced to back away. Only 1 kill so far, but it's Pinoy.
Yeah, Rainover really isn't the guy you want to engage on here. The most tanky member.
He stays alive,
Fnatic.
too.
He even stayed alive, actually, on the Olaf. And now it's going straight back to pushing. He's not going back to base yet, because you can still buff up all the minions in the top side.
He's got so much life steal
you could
as well,
if your Baron buff was still there, but it's...
1 tower down. They look like they're going to be able to take another one in the top, and this is disaster mode right now for Gambit. But wait a minute. Nope.
And all Rainover is doing is, because he's so low, he's obviously going to get so much attack speed from his passive, so he actually wants to keep pushing. And as soon as he sees anyone from Gambit, he just backs away here.
Yellowstar sent back to base.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's okay. You are relieved.
Take
so 2
over.
towers for Fnatic. The score now 6-5. Gambit has been keeping even up until this point, but it's starting to pull away in favor of Fnatic. However, looks like the Baron buff is down.
Baron buff is gone. Still, I mean, you got 2 towers, you got a few kills. Fnatic can be very happy with that. Dragon now in 1 minute should be the next focus from them. We have seen how Gambit has completely avoided team fighting 5 versus 5. Didn't want to use the Jax at all here. Didn't want to risk him just jumping in and getting blown up again. He's only sitting on 1 tank item with his Warden's melee. It's not even completed for him yet.
He does have the teleport available now, though, so they can send him elsewhere and have him TP in, or vice versa, send him for the 5v5 and then to a lane to try and push out. So we'll see what they end up doing. As you mentioned, that Dragon. This time it's very important both for Fnatic to take and for Gambit to deny, because it is that 3rd Dragon, the movement speed boost.
Yeah, which is going to be very important when you have all this roaming going on. I mean, even 33 minutes in, we see people start slow pushes in lanes and roam to mid lane, roam to the Baron, whatever it is. So this movement speed is going to be very, very good for Fnatic. And obviously also the ticking time bomb we always talk about, closing in on the 5th Dragon. For now, though, going back to pushing in. Again, it's about mid lane and the bottom lane.
Doing their best to suffocate Gambit and keep them, if not inside their base, outside of their own jungle. Cabochard's not too worried about that as he keeps pushing in the top side, but he might have to spend that teleport soon. Dragon is live, and Fnatic are in hot pursuit for it.
Yeah, they're going to take it here. No response from Gambit
This is a mistake. Gambit, it's dangerous to try and check this, but they've got to give them, or stop giving them so much for free.
I mean, the thing is, if you are Gambit here and you go for this fight around that Dragon and you don't have any proper ward placed around it and you already feel weaker in a straight-up team fight, it's too risky to do. Because if you lose it, you lose the Dragon anyway, and suddenly Fnatic can just push down, open up for an inhibitor, and you fall too far behind. If you are Gambit. I mean, they're basically still waiting for Cabochard to get to a point where he actually can join team fights. Once he has a tank item or 2, he will be able to dive onto someone like Steelback, because there's not a lot of peel from Fnatic. They have a lot of all-in potential, but the peel isn't there, so if Cabochard is tanking, he can go in.
And, you know, Reynover's not too worried about landing. Ooh, that hook from Eddie, not quite connecting. Diamond will abort mission, and Cabochard as well. And really, they can't get the picks either, and they only are landing things on Reynover, which is, as you mentioned before, not exactly recommended. He's quite tanky at this point. Frozen Heart and Warmog's armor completed, as well as the Juggernaut enchant.
Yeah, just focus on HP and armor. A lot of physical damage for Gambit. Also,
Yellowstar,
Yellowstar,
slightly
though.
squishier target, but that's not saying much. I don't think they're going to be able to burst him down. And also, Mooney and Steelback there to turn it around. The bailout. Oh, they were able to try it, but Eddie is going to get locked up for just a second, having to flash away. Equalizer thrown down, and now Fnatic sensing blood here. Cabochard jumps into the middle of it all. Huni, Zanya's Hourglass, big wild breath on Cabochard. Collateral damage, Pinoy trying to make the difference. Reynover, though, picks up Edward, and he's 1v2ing now. Here comes Fabivin. Wait, it's a little bit too late for Reynover. Huni already down as well. It's a 2 for 2. Cabochard looking to try to make a different time. Extremely low. Yellowstar picks it up with the Eclipse, and there they go. It ends up being a 3 for 2. Another messy fight, but this one goes to Fnatic.
Yeah, this really was about Pinoy for Gambit. He did such a good job constantly kiting around and managing to get every single auto tag in, cleaning up a few kills for himself. But Fnatic wants to make the plays. They get a few kills. Base is still alive from Gambit, though. No turrets have been taken there just yet, and Baron is back alive.
Could be focused pretty soon for this Fnatic team, as soon as they get Reynover back up. Still managing to take little edges here and there, and 5,000 gold ahead of Gambit, nothing to sneeze at, but Cabochard starting to ramp up there. He was causing quite some havoc in the Fnatic backline.
Again, as soon as he gets some tank items completed, he can really start doing work in these team fights. He even got an elixir of iron beforehand just to join the potential team fight that would happen. Gambit knowing that they couldn't just let Fnatic run around on the map and do whatever they wanted to. He's ready to fight as well for this Baron. Not pushing in the bottom. Let's see the wave actually down there. I believe it is pushing in favor of Fnatic. Yeah, Fabian just built it up beforehand, so that's going to be a big wave. And they want to send Cabochard now. So what Fnatic wants to do is stay around Baron, wait for Cabochard to go down to the bottom lane, have him teleport up to Baron, then you disengage from it, and you just wait for him to return to the bottom lane again, or return to the side lane, and then you can start the Baron, like we saw before from Fnatic. So they want to bait out that teleport from Cabochard before they do anything.
They've been quite good at taking advantage of those timing windows so far this split. We'll see if they can keep that one up in this game. Reynover really just front manning for this Fnatic squad. But Kabashar, there we go. The chase is on. Nick is already at half health, and he gets pulled to relative safety. But now Diamond's in some trouble. Wild Growth is on, but the death mark is down as well. But Vivian with the chase, and that's going to be a pickup on a Diamond. They might find Nick as well. Big shield on him, but still, you cannot go up against this Fnatic squad. They will get in your face quick, and this could be a Baron.
Yeah, that works as well for Fnatic here. Didn't have to wait for teleport. Instead, just managed to get a pick. Nick is going back to base as well. This should be a Baron for Fnatic once again.
They might be able to trade a tower, but still really risky here. Empowered Recall, and Kabashar is taking a little bit too long. You're right, this is not looking good for Gambit.
No, and Fnatic have just been looking so good in these fights. You're always getting the engage either through Rain over landing the axe or Yellowstar going in. And you have this Rumbles and Cold who still, because they've been so far ahead in items all game long.
They've been a little bit low from that one. They ran into Nick and Pinoy, but Nick is gone. Fabivin with the damage. 6-1 on that Zed, and Pinoy in full retreat.
That's not over yet.
Wait a minute, Kabashard comes on in and wait. Still quite a big shutdown there. Pinoy manages to get it, but he's not going to live either. Rainover will grab him, and Eddie goes down. A double kill goes to Rainover. 3 for the price of 1 steal back.
Expensive one.
That's high quality.
Yeah, for Gambit, I mean, such a tough game for them. Early game was great. Good start in the game, got a lot of kills. Diamond was 2-0 and 1 on this job, and then as soon as we actually start having team fights, it's just been in favor of Fnatic, and Kabashar hasn't been able to scale up in time. Rainover though, left a little bit on his own here.
He's a little bit high fee in here. Can he take the 1v2? He's about to get some assistance, and maybe he can sustain out. Yellowstar's here, the teleport from Huni. They throw down the equalizer as well, and Diamond trying to bail up, but Yellowstar follows him all the way, and Huni takes him down. Again, they can't even get picks properly at this point, and they've got the scaling composition, but just not quite working. It's not done yet. Kabashard looking for Rainover extremely low. There's the Leona ultimate. Nick is in some trouble, and it looks like he's going down. Huni with another one. And they're starting to push on inhib turrets.
Yeah, there should be a tower now from Fnatic, opening up the base here, Eddie. And hook, instant QSS from Fabivin.
Yeah, no problems at all. They're not too worried as much about that one, but they may be worried about Kabashard here, starting to shut them off. Edward trying to flay them back into the team, but Fabivin, Huni, and Yellowstar still a force to be reckoned with. Benoy has to back away from this one. Hook only going to connect on a minion, and that will be the first inhibitor for Fnatic.
Benoy this game actually, building his first attack speed item now. Just went full attack damage, full focus on doing as much damage with his abilities. Getting the armor penetration, getting the BT obviously for as much attack damage as possible. And wow, Kabashar.
Yellowstar going on in, Diamond, and Kabashar trying to blow someone up. Fabivin is that target. It's Pinoy that gets the shutdown, but they've already lost a tower. Rainover pushing on forward, turns his attention to the inhibitor. 2 inhibitors down now. Gambit's base in shambles. Kabashar trying to stay alive, but there are so many minions here. What can they do to Fischio?
Well, not a whole lot, because Rainover just refuses to die in every single team fight. He's so tanky on this Olaf here. We saw the reason for Pinoy's build, however, because once Fabivin jumps him, Pinoy's like, okay, if I'm gonna die, I'm just gonna blow up someone in the meanwhile. So instead of him building for auto-attacking and attack speed and, staying alive and consistently hitting targets, he just want to do as much damage as possible in a matter of few seconds before he dies to a death mark anyway from Fabivin with his build here. But actually managed to stay alive. And a dragon as well for Gambit.
Yeah, they pick one up, so they get a little bit back for them and deny the 4th one. But Diamond may not be so lucky. Rainover's going to find him. There we go, flag and drag. A little bit delayed, but they've still got to get back and defend base here. You're missing 2 inhibitors, and Huni goes down. Pinoy managed to gang squat him up. There we go. Yellowstar, though, finds Nick, and a killing spree goes to him. Eddie going down as well. Steelback coming up with that one. Diamond now in some trouble, but he jumps in. Kabashard, counter-strike, not enough. They blow up Pinoy. It's a double kill for Steelback. Getting focused down by Kabashard, and he will go down, but Kabashard is still in trouble himself. Rainover and Yellowstar should have enough damage, but he's gonna leap away. Still blinking health bars, and they're the only ones still up. Their base is in shambles right now, and looks like Fabivin is coming in. Counter-strike. Can he leap away? Yes, he can, but Yellowstar still looking for him. Diamond now is going to go down very, very slow. The death timers are high. Kabashard's still here, but can he fend off this entire Fnatic team, or at least 3 of them?
I think 3 is enough from Fnatic here. They're going straight for him.
Oh, here we go, Death Mark. They are going to find the damage here. Cabochard once again forced to retreat back, and he's down. That's the ace for Frabiven. Now, is there enough time? Eddie's coming up in 4 seconds. 1 Nexus turret is down. Looks like it's about to be 2. Fnatic might just be on their way to a 4-0 start in the LCS Spring Split of 2015, and it looks like they are. GG.
Such a good start to the LCS here for Fnatic and their new lineup.
If there were any questions about this new squad still remaining, those have now been silenced. Yellowstar and his team of relative newcomers here.
Yeah.
4-0. Magnificent. You could not ask for better. Some tough challenges. Gambit gave them the toughest test yet. But at the end of the day, they come out with a win, and that's what matters.
And Yellowstar, again, just showing why he's the best support in Europe by far. I mean, this game, on Leona, he just roams around early game. He's part of every single kill happening early on because he's the guy saying, okay, let's go dive top lane, let's go dive the mid lane. And he starts every team fight, the team follows him. The coordination from Fnatic and the calls, of course, coming from Yellowstar is just really working out for them. And we see them get so many kills early on because of it, and we see them play so well in these team fights. We see them this time around use the side lanes to push up these minions here or force these big minion waves, so you have to send someone down to defend it, and suddenly you have no teleport. Well, Baron is over to Fnatic, and that's where they really got the big lead. The first Baron they picked up, it was even in gold, then Fnatic got the Baron, a few towers, a few kills, and they were suddenly so far ahead, Gambit couldn't do anything.
Very methodical win for them, and now Gambit shaking their heads. What happened? We're 0-4. There's definitely some room to improve there, but they did give it quite a good show here. They did not play at the level that we've seen in his last 3 games. So they've stepped up, but the problem is they've had such a tough schedule here that it's still very demoralizing.
It is, and the thing for Gambit is they're so close yet so far. I mean, they have some fairly good games, but they always manage to fail at some point. Is it either the team fighting going wrong? Is it the strategy in the late game? Is it maybe the early game from time to time through someone like Diamond where he doesn't manage to pick up any kills or have any good ganks? I mean, there's always like 1 or 2 things going wrong for Gambit. The rest works okay. I mean, they get to late game here. The game was even in gold to like 35 minutes, and then it goes wrong for them. Cabochard had no teleport. Fnatic got the Baron, and from there on and out, Gambit didn't really do anything. And they had the Jax. They tried to get him fed. They were waiting for Cabochard to be tanky as well so he could actually join the team fights, but Fnatic didn't allow it. They just made sure they got so far ahead before that could happen.
Yeah, they managed to show some strategic diversity this time, and that's definitely important, but they'll need a little bit more than that to be able to step up against the next teams they're facing off against, but still, they played a very, very hard-fought game. Fnatic comes out ahead on that one, and again, those guys have to feel just so magnificent. There weren't as many expectations on them coming in to this split. They're a team of so many new players. You take a look at them right now, and Adela looks pretty happy with his team as well.
Of course.
They've got to be so satisfied with the way this start of the split has turned out.
I mean, you can't ask for more. If you are from Fnatic, 4-0, you had the 2 new Koreans coming in. We heard Raynova say there was a lot of pressure on him and Huni because they're coming from Korea and they're replacing the big names against Cyanide Source, of course, in the jungle and the top lane position for them. So getting this confidence boost and getting that great start is just perfect for Fnatic, and also shows that whatever they've been practicing in the off-season is working for them, so they can keep going for it. Now they just have to make sure if or once they get their first loss, they look at that and say, okay, is it because we're not too predictable in our play style? Is it because we always rely on Yellowstar roaming around on whatever support it is? We're going to have to see once a team can actually beat them what the reason is.
Yeah, speaking of Yellowstar too, he's really, really loving this meta right now. That hard engage, he's played Annie twice, he's played Leona twice now, and those are champions that he, further back he was known for when that had come full circle, and really, really working well for him. They've been able to leave Steel back alone. He's really loving the Corki, as you mentioned, fits into just about every composition, and it's worked quite well for them. And all across the board, I mean, Huni seems very comfortable. And of course, Rainover very comfortable as well. He's only played 2 champions. We've only had 4 games. Maybe you start focusing. It's so hard to focus any of these guys. Fabiven, for example, just a massive champion pool.
Yeah.
He does seem to love to dive in there, but he had a little bit of a harder time trying to assassinate Nick. I think Nick did step up that game. That's a shining spot right there for Gambit, but still a long way to go for this team.
So I'm going to say about Nick that I was actually again disappointed about his performance here. I don't think he managed to do enough on Lulu. It was too easy for Fabiven and Fnatic to kind of ignore him in the mid lane and start roaming around, and he was just sitting there, couldn't really do too much. And once we had these team fights, he got caught out too many times by either Yellow Star or by Rainover, and the engagement didn't happen onto Nick, who's supposed to stay in the back line and be the utility bot here. Of course, dish out some damage, but make sure as well that the guy like Pinoy can stay alive and he can deal damage all the time because you have the shield, you have the wild growth on you. But because Nick was always caught out beforehand,
He's forced to use it on himself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
he had to ult himself, and suddenly he was out of the fight, and there was no real help for his team. And I actually feel like, again, he's not performing, and it really hurts Gambit because we have so many good mid laners now in the LCS here in Europe, and everything, or a lot of things are involving around the mid lane again. He really needs to step it up because last year he came in, he replaced Alex, and we were like, okay, this guy is going to be impossible for him to replace Alex. He's one of the elite mid laners we have in Europe. He played fairly passive, he took his time, he got adjusted to the LCS and to Gambit, of course. It got better and better, never really hit the, the big plays or the big moments, but he was just consistently doing his job.
Yeah, now
Then he swapped it over, to
not so
Assassins,
much,
and
yeah.
now it's really gone downhill for him.
Well, even on the Lulu, I was complimenting him just because he was able to stay alive, but as you mentioned, he was forced to use his own wild growth quite a lot, and that's just the problem. These mid laners, all these all-star mid laners in Europe will always punish you for those situations, but I think we've talked a little bit enough for that one. For an inside look at that match, let's go ahead and head over to Shocks at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pyra. We're joined here at the desk by Rainover after that impressive performance against Gambit Gaming. Welcome once again. Congratulations, Rainover.
Thank you.
We saw you talking in the video before how you were, stepping into Fnatic in the shoes of the Season 1 world champions. What's it been like playing versus Diamond here that you probably saw playing a lot in the past and sitting next to Laurie here?
I'm just feel too good. Because I was just dreamed about playing from such a big team like Fnatic, and then I just cannot realize cannot fully realize that I'm just playing with this world class junglers. So I'm just so happy.
Okay, so you picked Olaf when Lee Sin was open. Are you carrying on the proud tradition of Fnatic junglers sucking as Lee Sin, or do you think Olaf is the stronger pick?
When I first played at Korea, I just start jungler with Lee Sin, and the Lee Sin was my most won champion. I just played Lee Sin every day, but someday I just realized that Lee Sin is not really good at the tournament because the most of the laners are just gonna play passive, and then if Lee Sin just can't do really much things in early game, then late game is I just feel useless. So champions like Olaf, Jarvan, and Kha'Zix, these things, or even though they don't get kills at early game, they can just carry the game at the late game if the game gets full items. So I just prefer others.
So you said that people tend to play really passive in tournaments, but still you went for Stalker's Blade first as Olaf instead of getting the Razors and having more HP and farming potential, smiting those Raptors, getting the vision. Is there any particular reason for this? Or
actually, I thought what do you call the purple one?
Racers.
I prefer the
Rangers tail
Rangers.
laser.
Yeah, I just prefer that. But for Olaf, I usually go the blue one because it is easy for me to get the Q, and then if you hit the first Q on the enemy, it's almost can't lose that fight. So I prefer the blue first and then Q, and it's really good for us.
And it worked out for you. Let's actually take a look at a replay of one of your flashy moves in the early game. If we can get it up on screen, you can comment on that, Rainover. What happened here? You can roll the clip.
Oh. I usually, Olaf passive, it's
Yes.
Yeah, the attack speed and the things get better when your HP is lower, but this is my first time dying in jungle with my Olaf. I just feel so bad about this, but it's just big mistake. I just want to attack the big one, my last attack, but it goes to the small one, so it's just so bad.
Yeah, it happens. I tried to dive to Raptors a few times as well in solo queue. These new jungle minions there are crazy. So.
I actually wanted to ask you about that because last time when you played Olaf, you also went really low because you have that passive. Is that you scouted the other team, that that they're not going to come and try and kill you, or are you just confident enough to keep going there before you do your first back?
It is kind of dangerous, but I just tell my mid laners to ward after 2 minutes to the entrance of the jungle, so I think it's fine because if I see them, I can just back. It doesn't matter, or I can just get my HP potion. It is for that. When the jungler shows, I just click the HP potion. I can fight them. It's really strong at this timing.
So Febiven was kind of split pushing at the start, but then he was grouping up with you guys and you were forcing objectives like on Baron. You got a Baron for free. Was this like the plan that he would split at the start and then you group, or?
Like it was like pretty complicated. Like first, like we were trying to make Rumble to Zax, but like the Zax was too fed, so we couldn't send Rumble to Zax. So like we kind of had like hard time at the early things, but we just realized that Zed can just kill Zax. So like we send Zed and then make some like slow push lanes or these things, and then we gather, and then because we know that we're gonna win the fight because we're just so fed, so we play like that.
Yeah, take a look at one of those team fights where you guys managed to win, and you actually got in a tricky position, but you still managed to get out unscathed, and you guys won the fight. Let's roll the clip, and you can talk us through that Reignover. You guys are standing here around the tower, and then they engage on you.
This one, like we have Rumble teleport, so like it wasn't like baiting things, but we were just like. We were just thinking that it's gonna be happy if they engage on us, but they did it, so like it's just really good for us.
What did you learn from yesterday when you guys had that one tower dive and it didn't work out? Have you learned to be more
that was
careful?
like maybe that can be fine if we focus on Gnar, but we focus on Ellis. But I was using my E to Ellis, but Gnar somehow he just jumped in front of Ellis, so he just got E, like. Rather Ellis, so I think that's the problem. Like maybe it was fine dive. Like we tried a lots of dive on Scream, so like we were like full confidence to dive like these things, but it happened. Like yeah.
It happens.
So in the pre-game video, you said that there used to be a lot of handsome players in Fnatic. You mentioned Reckless and FLICKR. Is there any particular reason you didn't mention me?
I mentioned you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I think I mentioned you first.
Oh,
and then
thank you. And then I approve.
Very handsome.
Oh, one final question. The last winning streak, or the longest winning streak that Fnatic ever was on, was in the spring split of Season 3. 9 wins in a row. You're up to 4. Can you break that record? How good would it feel to do that?
We're just gonna do our best, and then we're just gonna practice like eat, sleep, practice. So maybe I just hope to win everything, and then I don't want to feel down by losing games. So I'm just gonna do our best, and our team's gonna do our best.
Yeah, fantastic mindset. Congratulations, fantastic game once again. We need to take a quick break, but we'll be back in 3.5 as Giants face off against H2K.
Oh, they're going to look for Reignover. Ooh, the flash play. And Reignover is just trying to take the fight, but Diamond has too much HP. Nice! Jumps into the middle of it all. Huni, Zanya's Hourglass, big wild breath on Kabashard, collateral damage. Pinoy trying to make the difference. Reignover though picks up Edward. Oh, here we go. Death Mark. They are going to find the damage here. Kabashard once again forced to retreat back, and he's down. That's the ace. Fnatic on their way to a 4-0 start in the LCS Spring Split.